Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GeekWave. This is the low budget show. It's the show so low it has no budget. And you're just in luck because it is time for our season finale? No, our series finale. We're ending the GeekWave after 36 seasons. It's ending. That's right, folks. A new episode of The Simpsons dropped. And I want to talk about it because I think it's a really fun, interesting episode that does something this show has been doing for a while, but we'll get to that in a minute here. We actually have a little bit of news to talk about. Not a lot of stuff that's like super big, but a couple of things kind of comic book related too that I think are very interesting to explore and worth mentioning. So let's just get into those before we get into the wonderful world of Springfield. Actually, I guess we could talk about this too. It's kind of related to The Simpsons. The Simpsons tapped out, the mobile game where you build your own Springfield. That is going to be shutting down in January of 2025. That game has been a part of my life for a while. I don't actively play it, but I know every single update that comes out for it. I follow its trajectory a lot. I think it's kind of cool. Shame that's ending, but I get it. You know, it's a weird era for all this stuff, so things are just going to change. We also have a few passings. We have to talk about some legendary talents from the entertainment world. Maggie Smith passed away, maybe best known for her work on Downton Abbey and in the Harry Potter films, but just a legendary actress who is an on-screen presence, just an actress of such a caliber that she's a dame. So Dame Maggie Smith has passed away. She will be missed. She will be revered. We do appreciate her, and we do love her. On that note, too, we also lost Chris Christopherson, who is, just a talented guy. Somebody that I always liked. I think he's a very interesting talent and had a very specific vibe about him, a singer turned actor. There's something really cool about the presence he brought to screen, and I think that was really cool to see. Very cool guy. We also lost John Ashton, best known for his work in the Beverly Hills Cops franchise as the chief. Just so many greats being lost recently. All these people were, above 78, and it's just like, damn, we're losing so many talented people so quickly, and that's a shame. But their work will live on. So many great stuff to come out of all three of those actors, and it's really cool to see what they are capable of and what they have done. So moving away from that sad note, let's talk about a comic book collab that's coming up. DC Comics. They are going to be collabing with Sonic the Hedgehog. And there's a couple of reasons I wanted to bring this up. First off, I think it's funny that Sonic the Hedgehog is collabing with these places. That's kind of funny to me. I dig it. I think it's fun. The other reason was, this is not just going to be in terms of comic book. It's like a bunch of consumer products is going to have stuff coming out with them. There is going to be a comic book that's going to come out in March of 2025. But I just find it so fascinating what characters are collabing with what characters. This list is very weird to me. I don't know why this is what they went with. Like, the obvious ones. We got like a tease of like 6 characters who are going to be like their counterparts. So the ones that make sense to me. Shadow the Hedgehog is Batman. That makes sense. Like, I can see that perfectly. Amy is Wonder Woman. Well, what other character is there for Amy to be? That makes sense. Silver is going to be Green Lantern. Okay, that makes sense, I guess. And then the 3 that I'm like, why did we go here? Tails is going to be Cyborg. And I'm like, really? Tails is Cyborg? That's a weird choice. Okay, I'm for that. Now, this one makes sense to me, but I'm surprised they didn't do the obvious choice because of the blue. Sonic himself is going to be the Flash, which I guess is like their in-universe way of saying he's the fastest one. But wouldn't he be Superman because of the blue? That's what confused me. I'm like, wouldn't it make more sense if he was Superman? Because then you play up like the relationship with like Shadow in like the Batman and Superman thing. And Knuckles is Superman. Why isn't he the Flash? Because he's red. I don't know. Or why don't you make him like Martian Manhunter or something? Or Aquaman or another like strong character? I find it weird, like, they made Sonic the Flash, like, who's neither Batman nor Superman. Like, your main character from, like, Sonic is not the main character from DC. I just find that really fascinating. What a weird choice to make. But none of it's as weird as seeing Tails as Cyborg. Why was that the character we went for? I mean, Robin. I mean, you make Sonic like Batman and you make Tails Robin, right? Like, that would make sense to me. Or Nightwing would make sense to me too, because didn't Nightwing become a fox in Beast World? I don't know. It's just weird. I wanted to talk about it because I find it to be utterly entertaining. And then another thing kind of like in the realm of comic books that I want to talk about is like Marvel and DC have both lost the trademark for the term superhero. So I guess other companies could use the word superhero now. I don't know why that was stopping them. Like, who's going to check that? But whatever. I mean, sure. If you care about that, that's good for you. But I can't imagine anybody cares. I don't know. So March 2025, a Sonic the Hedgehog and DC crossover will take place. And I guess we'll see who's going to be who. Is like Rogue or is Rouge going to be like Catwoman? You know? Don't you have a robot that could be Cyborg? Right? Interesting. We do have a couple other pieces of news to talk about. We have a trailer for a new film from director Ryan Coogler called Sinners. That is right, folks. Sinners, his new movie. Michael B. Jordan plays two roles, two twins, and it's about vampires and stuff. So people are being attacked by vampires. Michael B. Jordan's are going to stop them. It's in like the Deep South or something. Looks great. Film for IMAX. I mean, big movie. That's an original concept. That's what you like to see. I think this could be the thing that makes Michael B. Jordan into like the leading man that he deserves to be. I do think he is actually. You know, I think like the Creed films have done well. His work in the Black Panther films have propped him up to some level. It seems like he's going to be getting his flowers more if this can become like a successful thing that exists on its own without being tied to an existing character or property. I think it looks really fun. I hope it like works out. I know it's going to. You know, like that is a thing that Ryan Coogler can do, is make a good movie. And making a cool genre film, I mean, that's the dream. That's kind of what we all want, isn't it? Just to see like a good genre film in our lives. It's been a minute. Was Nope like the last original one that was like huge? I can't remember. But Nope was awesome. And Sinners looks to be really fun. So I can't wait to see how that's going to go. I think it's going to be awesome. I believe it's March of next year that is released. We will see how that goes. And then hopefully it goes well. Now here's something else that's fairly new. Sticking to DC Comics a bit. I guess I should have put it up with like the other stuff, but who cares? We're moving on with our lives. We have a new film being developed. Like, I guess it is supposedly a film that features Deathstroke and Bane. This was like released by the Hollywood Reporter, and sources tell the Hollywood Reporter that Bane is going to be working with Deathstroke in a film. There is I think it's somebody who worked on, it's Matthew Orton, someone who worked on the script for Captain America Brave New World is going to be working on this. It is not confirmed if like the story is going to center on Bane or Deathstroke, or if they're just going to be characters in it. I really hate how everyone thinks Deathstroke is a Batman villain. I don't think he is at all. Deathstroke is a Teen Titans villain and a terrible person. So, I don't know, this could go a number of ways. I think a lot of people were like assuming Secret Six, and they just don't want to do Deadshot again. So you could put like Slade in the Deadshot role because you never actually did like Deathstroke properly. Which should be fine with me. I mean, that is a fun book, and I mean, if you're going to change a character, sure, it can be that one. We already have a Bloodsport out there, so I don't know. This could be interesting. I'm not like sold. I don't need a Bane project this early on into like a Batman story, but whatever. Maybe it's interesting. Maybe it's interesting. Everything could be interesting. But who knows? It could also be boring. That's also very possible. Also, it looks like we got a couple names down for Jon Stewart that are like the last people in the mix. Stephen James, Aaron Pierre, talented guys that would do justice to the role. Also, a while ago, we cast the villain for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. It is Matthias Schoenaerts. That's cool. Fun. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but awesome. Just cool stuff all around. I don't know, the DCU, I need to see what we're doing before I get excited about anything. But a Secret Six project, that's kind of fun. You should get Ben Affleck as Catman if we're going to do it. Okay, that's all the news we have. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, let's talk about The Simpsons. Those who watch the GeekWave know that I am no stranger to talking about The Simpsons. I love this show. I still love this show. I am an avid defender of the modern era. I think we have slowly but surely in the past couple of seasons seen the show's renaissance just coming out of a slump that lasted a little bit into something a little more grandiose than what you might be expecting from them, which I think is very much a needed case for this franchise. It has been going on since the 80s. You have to evolve and change, and I think a lot of Simpsons fans aren't willing to accept that the stories and concepts and jokes we make today are different than the ones we made back then. And that's okay. I mean, every show that's been on for more than 10 seasons just kind of gets lost in itself, but a show like this is genuinely still aware of what it's doing and what it's trying to do. So I always appreciate it for that. And I think this premiere of this new season 36, was a wake-up call that it needed, the current crop of writers and talent they have working on the show are definitely aware of what fan expectation is and how it's more referential, and we're trying more experimental episodes and trying to do certain things, and you have to combat that with a very modern interpretation of those same jokes. So this episode is labeled as the series finale of The Simpsons. The entire time you were watching it, the little watermark in the corner of the episode says The Simpsons series finale. The idea of this show is it is Conan O'Brien hosting the final episode of The Simpsons because the show has been going on for so long. It is just time for Fox and any network that it may or may not be associated with to just hang it up. We're done. There's nothing more we can do. We got to put it away and get on with our lives. That is what that is about. And I think that is pretty fun. It's a cool concept. It's done even better because the person quotes around it that writes the final episode of The Simpsons is somebody who is called Hack GTP. Yeah, that's what it is. It's just an AI. An AI writes the final episode of The Simpsons, and they do that by having this weird algorithm watch every episode of The Simpsons on a DVD box set, and then watch every series finale of a show ever, so that it just makes a really hacky finale. And throughout the entirety of that fake episode that is the finale, Bart is pushing through the illusion of what a finale is because it's a stupid concept and a dumb deceit. And that's awesome. That is really fun. That is a really cool concept to play with. And I think it really shows a modernizing of this culture for The Simpsons. You're never going to end it good now. There were moments you could have ended it, and they even have a clip show throughout this episode that shows you moments that they could have ended the show. All of them are things where Homer dies, because if Homer dies, where do you go from there? They recreate old animation in that style of animation to show you Homer jumping the gorge, but this time he dies. Or Homer is 300 pounds and he dies, and it's really fun. And that's the kind of joke that I think the hesitant audience really wants to see from The Simpsons, is something that is trying to talk on those terms, to speak that way, to have that type of energy going. This episode is also jam-packed with guest stars. Now, some of them return to do their voices, like a couple, but it's mainly just, here is the embodiment of a character you have seen before that was a guest star that played themselves on The Simpsons that can be in this to show you where we are. And that goes into like what I would want the final episode to be. Like, I did an entire episode of this on the show already. What would the final episode of The Simpsons be? And my pitch was, you get every guest star to come back, and they all aged in real time. So if you had a guest star on in the 90s, you see who they are currently today, and they come back to Springfield like, what just happened here? Why is everything the same as it was from 94? And you realize that the nuclear power plant has been like radiating the entirety of Springfield, so nobody ages or moves in time. Kind of like a metatextual comic book thing. If they were to ever do something like that, they never would, because that is not what we're doing with The Simpsons. The idea of The Simpsons is it doesn't end. It just goes on. It's a comic book. The story always progresses in time, and it never ends. Canonically speaking, Maggie would be born in 2022. It just keeps going on. And that's really cool. And I think this episode highlighted that fact, and it definitely proved to like people who are naysayers, which is a term I say loosely, that we should end. And I don't think they should. It's just like, you want us to end? You want us to end the show? You think we're so bad now that we can't do anything right? We're just going to end it? They're like, no, we still have ideas. It is almost brilliant in its like depiction of that. It's quietly just being like, you want the references to the old stuff. You want us to like do like the self-inserts of like, here's everyone progressing, setting up a spin-off, doing these different things. That's what we can do. But that's not what The Simpsons is. And I think this is like a fundamental retaliation against what people think The Simpsons should be. And that's really cool and really enjoyable to see, and just makes for some fun stuff. There are some really good gags in here. And that is a really impressive feat to see for your season premiere. Just to open it up doing like your classic Troy McClure bet, which is something we haven't seen in a while. And I really like that. And having it be Conan O'Brien, I think that also adds like a special level to it, because people know Conan O'Brien from his work on The Simpsons. So it's cool that he's willing to come back to this world. He's one of the few guys that could do it well. Now, there is definitely like a tweak in the design of Conan from when he like was drawn on The Simpsons to like how he looks now. And that just shows you like the age, like the aging of animation, and like this format in particular, how things have changed, how different they look. And I'll say this too, like as somebody who has watched The Simpsons consistently, this episode had a very different feel in the animation. It definitely felt like it was going for more of a timeless feel as opposed to like the modern digital stuff. I know they like still do like all their animation outsourcing to Korea and stuff. There was something just more like fluid to this. It seems like they put a lot more money into it, and they want to make it feel a little more like classic. Like characters have bigger heads, a little more exaggerated, and it's kind of fun. And a lot of classic characters make their return appearances in some capacity. Like Herb shows up, Homer's brother. Bleeding Gums Murphy shows up in this. Actors who like haven't appeared on the show in a long time, like Ron Howard shows up. Tom Hanks from the movie shows up. People here like, really? We're having them in here? Nick Riviera? I don't even remember last time he was on the show. It's been a minute. Apu is there too. Wish he talked, but Apu is there. It's just like, yeah, everyone's back doing stuff. It's exciting. I'm like, this is cool. Like you're retaliating against like what people want, and you're centering it around one of the most important characters on the show, which is Bart, which is another thing I really like about this episode. Not to get too like metatextual or meta narrative about it all, but Bart Simpson is like an icon of like rebellion. I think that's explicitly what he was in the 90s. Just that type of kid that was like, I'm just angry at stuff and everything's weird around me, and it's like, boom, fart, everything's stupid, silly. And, as we like moved on in like the Simpsons narrative, Bart has kind of like changed his personality a little bit, which is fine. 36 years, the way you write a 10-year-old today is not the same way you'd write a 10-year-old 30 years ago. So to have him like be the character who doesn't want to accept change, I think really works for everything we know Bart to be. He's the kid who never wants to grow up, wants to always be kind of like stuck in that phase of rebellion. and having everything around him change is just really fun. Like, he is like your icon. If there was one for The Simpsons, it might be Homer, but it's very as likely Bart. Like, he is just, for an entire generation, like the kid you grew up as and you saw become this thing. I really like seeing the world around him just change, and he's like, this is stupid. I don't want to turn 11. Everybody's getting to grow up and do other stuff. And I like all the characters that they give like those random, like, well, we're moving on stuff to. Seymour is going to go to like a different school where he's going to be like the headmaster of a school, and groundskeeper Willie's going to go with him, and Chalmers might show up. Mr. Burns gets killed by Homer's incompetence, and he leaves all his money to the staff of the nuclear power plant. Moe closes the tavern. Comic book guy and his wife have a child. What else do they do? Milhouse's parents, like, they're going to move somewhere because some record producer finds Kirk's, like, old Can I Borrow a Feeling record. So now they're going to, like, make an album, and Milhouse is going to be, like, a cool kid. He's going to get, like, LASIK. And all of these bits just, like, end with, like, I'm going to miss this place. And, like, a character turning off the lights of a building and walking out of the room. It's funny because that is exactly how you make fun of, like, a series finale. That's how Cheers ends, with just like the lights turning off at Cheers and characters just walking away. It's really funny and it really works. And Homer and Marge also get like their cathartic ending too, where they like go to couples therapy. And they're like, we worked through all our shit. Marge is an enabler, and Homer is upset with himself because he had a bad childhood, and that's why he like acts out in irrational behavior. Bart's like, what? No, that's not what are we doing? And Lisa gets accepted into like Juilliard, and she gets to like go on to like great adventures. And I'm like, if there's one thing I would say about the episode, I think there should be some more like stuff going on with Lisa. She doesn't get like a lot to do, but it's not a real series finale, so I don't care. That's the other thing about The Simpsons that I've talked about before. How do you realistically do a series finale of The Simpsons? You're not going to give justice to every character. It's just an impossible thing to do. Like, there are going to be characters that don't make an appearance in the episode that people want closure for. Like, we do get a little bit of like Bart rebelling against it because like his AI algorithm, whatever, breaks through of like the model that like Hack GPT made for him. And he's like, I'll go somewhere where they never get canceled or like nothing ever changes. And he goes to the Krusty Show, and the Krusty Show is doing like their last episode. And then we see like all the hits of the Krusty Show. This is kind of a clip show in some essence of the word, but not really. It's more just like, how do we please every Simpsons fan? What if we make references to the things they like? And that's all we have to do. That's all we're going to do. And it's really fun. We also see the return of Homer strangling Bart, which is something I know some people were very like, when is it going to happen? I can't believe the woke mind virus has come for The Simpsons where Homer can't strangle his son anymore. Like, is that really what you want to see from The Simpsons? Like, that's just like a classic bit they have in repeat. But it comes in the form of Bart literally telling his dad, like, you're a terrible person and a bad father. You're never going to be a good father. This is all stupid and a lie. I don't want to turn 11. I never want this to work. I never want this to be good. It's stupid and lame. This has been a huge joke on my life and my time. I cannot believe we are here doing this thing. And Homer does the classic, why you little? They also do like that classic bit from the episode where everyone says their catchphrases again. It's funny, okay? And that's the kind of humor The Simpsons has been doing a lot more lately, while also doing like random episodes that like mean something. Like they did an episode last season where Larry the Barfly, one of like the supporting characters who has never really got any play in the show, dies. And then Homer, Carl, Lenny, and Moe have to deal with like this guy that they never included missing them. It's really smart, and the show just continues to do something different with its technology and its efforts, and I think that's something that should be applauded. And this is the perfect blend of like classic clip show, Troy McClure joke, self-referential, you can't kill us because we're never gonna die thing, with the evolution of AI could literally do this job, but the fact that it shouldn't is funny. The AI killing itself when Conan asked it to do like 800 more episodes, that is hilarious. That is a good joke because that is honest. Like, it's not going to survive another 800 episodes. That is very apparent. But they got an early renewal for another season. They are probably going to make it if no other cast member passes away to 40 seasons, which is kind of amazing in a way, and I find it to be utterly fascinating that we even got to this point. It's very enjoyable and something I applaud this show for doing. You know, it's never been afraid to make fun of itself. Like, it does have that Community season 4 feel sometimes. We're like, oh, this is silly. But then in the later seasons, we can like reference what it's doing. So it just feels a little better. And that's kind of cool. I do think this is the perfect episode to get back into the show for. Are the voices perfect? No. But after 36 years, are you going to expect your voice to be the same? I'll say this too, okay? Harry Shearer, Julie Kavner, if they want to quit, they could. They're fine. They got the money. They are doing this now because it's the only thing they have for jobs. And that's fine. They want to keep doing it, let them do it. Don't be mad if Marge doesn't sound the same she did from 94. Because of course she's not. Dan Castellaneta is not going to sound the same. Yeardley Smith is not going to sound the same. None of them are going to sound perfectly the same, but they sound better now than they have before, I think because they have less vocal strains they're trying to go for. I think that's really cool. I appreciate this show so much, and I'm glad it is still innovative. After 36 seasons, it is still innovative and trying new stuff, and that just makes me smile. It makes me happy. I love seeing a show willing to commit to stuff like this. It's always enjoyable and makes for some great television. And that is what the Simpsons season premiere was. As Conan brilliantly puts it, this wasn't the finale, it was a premiere. And all the celebrities like, you made us come out here for a premiere? Who cares? The show's not gonna die. I don't want to be here then. And that is funny. Also, John Cena cameos in this. So there you go. It's fun. Herb's back. It's a good episode, and I'm glad this show did it. Just went for it. Like, go for it sometimes. That's all you have to do. That's all you should do sometimes, is just attempt something silly like this. And that, my dear listeners, is going to do it for this episode of the GeekWave. Now, thank you all for listening to this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck, and just remember, you'll never stop the Simpsons.